Hey, this is Sebastian from the Metal Gods Meltdown, and this evening I am joined by
Terry Leroy from Granny 4-Barrel and Leroy 13. How's it going?
It's great to be chatting to you this evening. Congratulations on The Art of Deception. How pleased are you with the responses so far from media and fans? And the major question is, do we get an album or is it always going to be singles?
Well, it's going to be singles for a while, and thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. It's going really good. The response has been really, really good. But yeah, it's the world of singles, I believe, lately. We can focus more attention. Tracks don't get lost. And when we feel like we have enough momentum, then we can drop a record. I mean, we got songs enough to keep us busy for a couple of years here, dropping singles. But it would be nice to put an album out. But again, I don't want tracks to get lost, and that's what happens.
That's the problem with the world we live in, isn't it? With Spotify and everything. Difficult. It is difficult, man. I mean, I saw someone on your YouTube channel describe your band as Rasputin on acid. How would you describe your band to the uninitiated?
Yeah, so wow. I mean, my 30-second elevator pitch changes all the time, but really it's horror-based shock rock. It's theatrical. Imagine Norman Bates from Psycho fronting a heavy metal band, and that's basically it.
Do you ever have nightmares about Granny?
Well, actually, no. You know, Granny makes me laugh a lot of the time because I love the idea of a badass old like woman witch character that basically tells people to, you know, whatever she wants, what's on her mind, just like an old woman, right? They don't hesitate to tell you to fuck off. They got nothing to lose. But yeah, there's a deeper psychology within Granny, but I really relate to the character. I like the split personality aspect of it, and it's theatrical, and I always have loved bands like that.
Brilliant. So I'm guessing that you're a big fan of Alice Cooper, Marilyn Manson.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Maynard from Tool as well. Cool. And we know that Maynard and, well, Mike Patton too. He's another one. He's another one of my favorite front persons.
Totally, man. So what influences and inspires Granny 4-Barrel? Where do you draw your ideas from? Is it sort of horror like James Herbert, or what? Where do you draw?
Well, I think as a general rule, heavy metal just kind of has that edge to it anyways. So that's always present. But, you know, the songs, they just come, I write for the song. So if it happens to seem like it's going to fit that mold, great. If not, we move it to one of the other projects that we have that we can talk about in a bit. Yeah, I mean, inspiration. I mean, where do you get it? Like, I'm a songwriter, so I mean, every 5 minutes, wow, that's a cool idea to write about. It's just got to be right. And in this particular case, the song that's released, "The Art of Deception," it's got a common lyric and a theme: wolves in sheep's clothing. That's, you know, it begs the question: who do you trust? Politicians, your friends, someone close to you that seems like they're your friend, but they have another agenda. Again, it's a common theme, but I always wanted to use wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean, that's very heavy metal, but I couldn't find the right music. And when I co-wrote this with David Bendeth, he presented me with some music, and I was like, oh, dude, there we go. There's the marriage right there. It fits.
Excellent, man. So going back in time, can you remember the first time you ever wrote a song, and what was that about?
Yeah, that's funny that you asked that, because the other day I was thinking about a couple songs that I wrote, and I was trying to reflect back to, okay, where was I when I was 18 years old mentally? Like, what was my perspective then? And I was pleased to acknowledge and validate my 20-year-old self for writing a song called "What's This World Coming To?" It was introspective for the time. Yeah. I was struggling with meaning and purpose, and there was a, you know, it hasn't changed in years. It's always the same on the news. But I was like, yeah, no shit. I'm still writing about the same kind of things.
That's excellent. I mean, your videos are beautiful and really like eye-catching, provocative. Do you have a lot of input into the videos, or is this left to someone else?
Oh, absolutely. I have. It's 100% me in that I have full creative control, but it's always a collaboration with some genius, like in this case, David Brodsky from My Good Eye Visuals. And David, he's a fantastic videographer. Him and his partner, Allison West, they've done videos for Queensryche, Clutch, just finished up something from Cannibal Corpse, did Guar, not only a few months back. So David and Allie, they're very creative. Love working with those guys. And I think always our best work, even in songwriting, comes from collaborations. I really do.
Absolutely. So is there anyone else like you'd love to get to do a collaboration with, like, say, Marilyn Manson, Alice Cooper?
Oh, I mean, that would be fantastic. Well, when we talk about the other project in a few minutes, Leroy 13, that's an ongoing, it started out as a one-off kind of collaborative born out of the pandemic act that had the guys from Evanescence, had Will and Troy from Evanescence, Aaron Pauley from Of Mice and Men, and a guitar player from Detroit named Sammy Baller. But that has now evolved into a rotating all-star lineup. So, there's some great guys that we could talk about who you're about to hear some more cool tracks.
That's brilliant, man. Okay, go back to what you're going to be asked this shitloads. But anyway, why name Granny for Barrel? And did you have any other names on your mind for the band, or was it just Granny for Barrel?
So it's kind of, again, it's like, okay, so if there's going to be this crazy old woman character front person, what is she? What's her name exactly? And I've played around with a few names, Granny Dreadful, and I love the sound of that. And I was like, well, I like the juxtaposition of old Granny and Four Barrel. See, I grew up in a hot rod family. My father was a drag racer, so I've been around 4-barrel carburetors and racing gear my whole life. And I was like, oh, Granny 4-barrel. It almost sounds like there's a carburetor called a Holly 4-barrel. And it's kind of reminiscent. And I was like, oh, it's cool. You got old and feeble meets powerful. And that's really what it is. It's in disguise.
Brilliant. I mean, obviously, with the COVID and everything, the world's totally pretty fucked up at the moment. I mean, do you have plans to get out on tour or even to a festival? I mean, I'm not sure where you're in New York, aren't you? What it's like where you are, if it's still sort of locked down. I mean, do you live streaming, anything like that?
Yeah, so personally, I have no, for any of my projects, there's no shows this year. There may be something in the fall. Our management may place us on a bill. Maybe we do a handful of shows. 2022 will be a bigger year for us, barring, any issues with the pandemic.
Well, the thing is, I'm sorry. So I was going to say, the thing is, I've noticed, like, you've got a shitload of YouTube followers and a load of subscribers, and you've got a lot of big fan base out there, so hopefully things will lift and you'll be able to get out and hopefully get over to the UK. That would be amazing.
Oh, that's my dream. I would love that. One of my older bands a few years back, Titanium Black, we were in Europe a few times. We were in Sweden. We did some shows in Germany with Manowar. The band was called Titanium Black.
Right.
And I love Europe. That's my heritage anyways. Le Wa, I'm French.
Right.
80%, yeah, 80% of my DNA is European. So it's the homeland.
That's awesome, man. Okay, then. So you're going to be stuck in quarantine for a month. Which musician or band, dead or alive, would you have with you?
Ooh, okay. You know what? I'm really digging Maynard lately. I've been watching a lot of interviews with Maynard. I love his work ethic. I love that he was a wrestler. I was a wrestler in high school. In elementary school, I wrestled for years. I love his philosophy on life. I love what he talks about, when he learned from his father, who was a wrestling coach. And I love that he owns businesses. I do as well. I would totally hang with Maynard.
That sounds good, man. Okay, going back again, what first inspired you to become a musician? I mean, can you remember, and what was your first performance like?
So the first album that I ever owned was Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. And I bought that.
You're not that old, are you?
What's that?
You're not that old, are you?
Well, you know.
My sister buying that when I
That's right. You're talking 78.
I remember my sister buying it. I was about.
I think I was in middle school or
8,
yeah. It's about yeah. Got a couple years. Granny's got a couple years under her belt. But she stays fit. Granny stays fit. We lift weights and we do all kinds of fun, crazy stuff. But yeah, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. I bought that back in the day because, well, the album cover was super cool. I didn't really know anything about rock music when I was like barely a teenager, except, I mean, I heard it a little bit, but I was just starting to hear songs on the radio. That's really what opened it up for me. And then, of course, well, I delved into anything from Cheap Trick to AC/DC, Black Sabbath, and then there you go, all my favorite bands from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my first show was actually at my high school variety show, and I had a band called Brigade, and we did 2 songs. I did Fit You Good by Bryan Adams and Let There Be Rock by AC/DC. Yeah, dude.
Okay, then. So the next one, if you could steal credit for any great song out there, which one would you choose?
Wait, say that again, please.
If you could steal credit for any song that's ever been written, which one would you choose?
Ooh, wow. There's a lot of great songs out there. I'm a big Sabbath fan. I'm a big Sabbath with Ronnie Dio fan, but I think that man, how do you pick? I'm also a huge Iron Maiden fan.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. Hallowed Be Thy Name is a pretty intense song. I can't answer that. I'm sorry, Sebastian. How many great songs are there? I'd really have to think about that for
Millions. A while. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So when you went out on tour, Man of War, how was that? Was that just totally amazing? I mean,
yeah. I mean, honestly, that was so. I was friends with Scott Columbus. I live in upstate New York, only about 20 minutes down the road from Scott, and I grew up with Scott Columbus, and you know he was in Man of War for years, right. And he passed away. But Scott, he got my band the gig. He gave one of my CDs that I had done with Michael Wagner, producer Michael Wagner. Titanium Black was the band. Again, there's some stuff on YouTube. Actually, there's a show on YouTube. You'll see it at the Magic Circle Festival. Yeah. Check it out. And it was great. It was really great. It was basically a week-long festival, and there were bands like Alice Cooper was there, Ted Nugent, Goddard, Doro, Joe Lynn Turner, Jack Starr's Burning Star. Bunch of great bands. It was a great experience. It was my first time ever playing on a stage that big. Of course, you know that Man of War, everything they do is like over the top. It's the most powerful. It's the biggest. It's the grandest. And it was a great experience.
Right. Did you manage to borrow a loincloth, or did you do any of that? And okay, so can you finish this sentence for me? Everybody needs Granny for Barrel in their lives because she gives you inspiration to be a badass. Awesome. So can you tell me then a bit about your other project then, and can we expect any more releases from what was the other project called? Sorry.
Leroy 13. It's my last
Leroy
name.
13.
Yeah. So it's LE_ROI and Roman numerals spell out 13.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So that project is it's a collaborative effort that started out born out of the pandemic. Yeah. We played a show. Granny Forbarrel played a show at the Whiskey A Go-Go in LA, and Wendy Dio was at that show.
Okay.
And I knew that she was going to be at that show, so I'm a huge fan of Ronnie Dio, and I've always played any kind of Sabbath, Dio, Elf in every band I've ever been in. So we performed Stand Up and Shout for her, and she really loved it. And she was inspired enough to invite us to play some Ride for Ronnie charity events. But back in 2020, last year, of course, everything got canceled. Yeah. So when that happened, I was still in Ronnie Dio mode, and I was like, well, let's record. I mean, let's record. So I went back to David Bendeth, David Bendeth, and I said, I want to do a song for charity. Let's do Stand Up and Shout. It's one of my favorite songs to sing. Let's round up some all-stars. I mean, David Bendith's worked with everybody. He knows all these guys. So he rounded up Will Hunt from Evanescence and Aaron Pauley from Of Mice and Men.
Right, yeah.
We were doing some co-writing with Aaron anyway, so he was kind of in our circle. And he had this other guitar player, David mentioned, this 20-something shredder kid out of Detroit named Sammy Baller. And as we started to record the song, then Troy McLawhorn from Evanescence, who's obviously friends with Will, said, "Hey, dude, I want in on this." So we're like, well, fuck yeah, come on in. And that's how it got started. So we donate all the proceeds to the charity. And we had such a great time doing it that we're going to have a revolving, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a revolving all-star cast of musicians. Currently, I'm working with Dana Strum and Jeff Blando. Dana Strum, the bass player from Slaughter. And
you know what it is when you think you know so many bands and that, and it's like that name, I know that name.
Dana's a fantastic musician. He's a producer and engineer all around. I mean, he's a manager, but he's wonderful. So it's Will. The next roundup is Will, myself, Dana Strum, Jeff Blando, and a guitar player from Italy, Steph Burns.
Right.
I don't know if you know Steph Burns, but he's world-class guy. And we're going to redo a Journey song and a Rainbow track. And they're in recording process right now. I just finished the vocals.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
so are you friends with Craig Goldie?
I'm not. I know who he is.
That would be awesome if you get him on board. I mean, I haven't spoken to him for a few years, but he's such a lovely guy. And totally Ronnie James Dio, totally.
Well, I think that's great because we're about to do 3 Black Sabbath songs. So it'd be great to get him involved.
That'd be awesome, man. All right, then. So I've nearly finished with you. This is just 5 questions for fun now, then. Okay, so first one, festival or small intimate gig?
Small intimate gig.
Okay. Pizza or beer?
Dude, I mean, you got to have them both, right? I mean, what am I drinking with my pizza and what am I eating with my beer?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Classic metal or thrash metal?
Classic. Always.
Heaven or hell?
I mean, can I have both, please?
Yeah. All right. The last one might be a bit contentious. I'm not sure. Kermit the Frog or Joe Biden?
Well, I mean, Kermit the Frog.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so can you tell us what can we expect next from Granny for Barrel?
So there's another track in the works, okay? But I think what's going to happen is we're having a lot of fun rotating projects. So the next thing that you're going to see come out from us within the next 8 weeks is going to be a video and a new song under Leroy 13. Awesome. Okay, then we're going to go back to Granny. It's a lot of fun because I'm in shock rock and then I'm back to serious metal guy. And not that that's not serious as well, but it's just a different vibe. So yeah, I like to switch it up.
That's awesome, man. Do you have any final words for your fans and our viewers and listeners?
I mean, I just want to say thanks for, giving us a platform. Thanks to you, first of all, for continue to carry the torch for heavy metal, because I believe this wholeheartedly. I mean, it's the musicians, they do their part, but the journalists are the key to getting the word out, and we need each other. So, and I think that we're all in it together, including the fans. So I'm including everybody in on this. It's basically, this is what we do for our life. It's our passion. I do this. I've done this since I was a teenager, and I'll never stop.
failures, breaking your trust. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Turn around.